So this lady has a problem for the non-clinicians in the world. She has an obstructed left kidney, urosepsis. She's an old lady who could potentially die from this problem. The cause is a retained ureteral stent in her left kidney. See a bunch of calcification above and below. And this is a big deal for this lady. Who today is going to operate? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're going to go to the OR. Hi, everyone. All right, who's going to leave something in a patient? The nurse is going to get something and give it to you. Who's going to leave a device in the patient? Raise your hand. All right, I see Dr. Eliason's the only one. Well, interestingly, the majority of us, before we die, will have a temporary medically implanted device in our body. So the average in the United States now is 58% of Americans at some point in their life have a device in their body. And the point is that there's really no way to keep track of these things. So inspired by patients like this lady, our team went through the FFMI program to develop what we call the surgical asset tracker. So this is how it works. In the operating room, you ask for a device. The nursing team goes and gets this asset, so to speak, off the shelf. One thing we do every time is we send a bill for these devices. There's a message. Our product listens for this message within the EHR and develops a ledger of kind of surgical asset, patient, what asset was placed, and we essentially keep track of that. So we start off in ureteral stents, but it soon became clear to us that there's a huge space here. So today at the University of Michigan, probably about 15% of the operations are going to include, or procedures are going to include, leaving some kind of device in a patient that's supposed to be tracked, but it is not. There's no technology to do this. And look at these procedures. You can see many of us do these on a daily basis. My interest is in kidney transplantation. We started putting ureteral stents in all of our kidney transplant recipients simply because we left a bunch of stents in over the years. We decided that we'll just leave them in everyone so that we have a uniform process on how to do this, even though some patients probably don't even need it. We're going to focus on the Ivc filter. Anyone who's been in Michigan a long time knows that this was developed by our esteemed Dr. Greenfield. And when he developed it probably 40 years ago, it was intended to be left in place forever. These are now retrievable devices. So for non-clinicians, these are stents that are placed in the large vein that kind of goes from your legs up to your abdomen to prevent blood clots from going to your lungs, causing a pulmonary embolus, commonly put in patients who are critically ill. And the problem essentially is these can be left in place. Anyone who operates in retroperitoneum has come across these things, and there's no record that it was there, and you're operating on this space and you say, what is that? Oh, there's a cable filter. So in the United States, about 88,000 of these things are placed every year, and surprisingly, as we've learned, only 20% are retrieved. All of them are designed to be retrieved. Some patients die before retrieval is supposed to happen, but approximately 20% of them are actually kind of scheduled to be removed. So the vast majority are left in place essentially because we don't keep track of them. And the business opportunity beyond just improving patient care is that hospitals make $5,000 when they put them in, but they make $10,000 when they remove them. So hospitals are leaving a lot of money on the table by leaving these devices in patients. In addition, there's growing regulatory pressures to remove all assets that are intended to be removed. So right now, there's no specific regulations except one. Just this year, the interventional radiology kind of CMS payment program is going to require them to start to track certain devices that they leave in patients and have a system for this, but there's no product to fill that space. And those regulatory pressures are going to continue to grow just because it makes sense. Customer discovery, we've talked to this cohort of esteemed colleagues to try to understand this technical problem, particularly interventional radiologists, vascular surgeons, people with experience in device manufacture, and this is our solution. We have cloud-based software that automatically registers patients who receive any kind of temporary implantable device. It's compatible with all electronic health record systems. It listens essentially in the back for these billing information and sends alerts to providers, provides a ledger of assets, and then also a ledger that removes assets once they are taken out of patients. And we're also developing essentially proprietary algorithms to determine kind of using clinical logic when these things should be removed. So for example, Mr. Smith had an Ivc filter placed. Mr. Smith has been on anticoagulation for 6 weeks. We should call Mr. Smith and have him come back in for removal. So our customers are hospitals that place these things. There's 2,200 in the United States, and physicians, approximately 5,000 interventional radiologists, vascular surgeons, cardiologists place these in the United States. And then, of course, the 88,000 patients who have these placed every year. So the value proposition, well, certainly this is good for patient care, and I think the sky is the limit regarding various devices that we could apply this to, but we're focusing this use case on IVC filters, and essentially the value proposition for hopefully relatively quick value of our product is the fact that the majority of these are left in place, and we're simply going to solve a problem, make sure these patients come in and get these devices removed. We estimate that's about $700 million a year of IVC kind of filter left in place that it couldn't be removed. So the current state, so how do we do this now? Even at the University of Michigan, we do not have a solution for this. Different physicians, different groups have different attempts at solutions, but in short, that's why 80% are left in place. People keep track of them various ways. The state of the art is probably at Northwestern, where they have an entire clinic. It's staffed full-time by 2.5 FTE nurses, just keep track of their IVC filters and to bring people in to have them removed. It's good business to remove them, but it takes, at Northwestern, they staff an entire clinic just to do this. Device manufacturers do this, so they offer, Bard in particular offers a product to do this. Unfortunately, there's a diverse number of vendors who do this, and there's no one solution. So the advantage of our product is it's automated high fidelity, it tracks with alerts. There's no FTEs or no individuals that have to spend time working on this. It's agnostic to device, it's agnostic to manufacturer, and it integrates into any major EHR. So just to step back, the market for surgical access or medically implanted devices is large. It grows approximately 9% per year, and the current market is $74 billion. It's a large market. Of that, the IVC filter market is about $200 million. And it continues to grow. We estimate it'll be about $318 million in about 5 years. Our lead market is going to be the hospitals that place over 200 of these a year. Relatively small cohort. They're hospitals like ours. We know who they are. Intellectual property, our primary IP, is that we know the optimal sequence, essentially how to do this within the clinical workflow. The focal point will be a solution that's effective and that works in to how patients receive care and how clinicians and staff do the care. Our software can be copyrighted, its name can be trademarked. In the future, we'll continue to develop kind of algorithms that know when various devices need to be removed. Our regulatory strategy, we are not regulated by the FDA. We will have to be HIPAA compliant. Business strategy, we're going to have a startup that develops and commercializes solutions for tracking temporary implantable devices. We're going to focus initially on IVC filters. Our sales strategy will be software licensing. Additional revenue streams may include selling our data. Likely future acquiring companies will include medical device manufacturers, health IT companies who value big data. So our risks include technical, market, and team risks. Technical risks, it's hard to implement software in hospitals. We've done this in the past. We'll continue to develop this, and that'll be a primary focus of how we use the precious monies that we receive from the Department of Surgery. Market risks, it takes a long time to sell to hospitals. We'll target high-volume hospitals to overcome this risk. And our team, we're 3 professors. We don't have anyone who has expertise in business or startups, and we'll have to remediate that problem. So our last kind of customer discovery was to talk with some seasoned entrepreneurs, and they gave us this advice: address our technical issues we identified in our successful pilot here at the University of Michigan, extend our platform to IVC filters, and to test our platform in non-EPIC hospitals outside the University of Michigan. So this is our timeline. We are just at the end of the green. We just graduated from SIDAC. And we're honored to be finalists and move forward with our work over the next year. We hope by this time next year, we'll be ready to raise seed funding and recruit a business team. So thank you very much. This is our team. I'm Mike Englesbe. John Hollingsworth is really the heart and soul of this. He's in the urology department. And Mark Newman is a computer engineer who developed the technology. Thank you very much.